Please join me in welcoming Governor Snyder.
Angela, thank you for those words, but let me put it in perspective. We've made a huge comeback in Michigan. We're the leading state in the Great Lakes states today, if you look at it, in terms of jobs created, in terms of many good things, rate of personal income going up. We've taken on a lot of tough issues, but on recycling, we're behind, and we need to do better. And so that was one of the things I want to come share with you because you're my partners in getting that done. Some of these issues are not easy, but we apply what I call relentless positive action to them, which means you don't worry about who gets credit, you don't blame people, you define the problem and go solve the problem. And this is an illustration in that. And to put it in perspective for you, I talked about how we're doing great in a lot of different areas, but it doesn't happen overnight. I could tell you stories about road funding. Remember those things? I was going around taking pieces of concrete and stuff like that. That took several years. That didn't just happen. Although, is there anyone here that didn't believe we have to fix our potholes? At one point, we actually had the ballot thing go on where I woke up in the morning and I felt I was in a 6-foot deep pothole myself. This last year, we actually had a huge challenge with energy reform in our state. And that took several years to get done. But we put in place an energy policy for the next generation or so in our state. I don't know if you noticed, our energy companies are talking about things out to 2040 and 2050 now. And that was because of stuff we just got done at the end of last year. And the joke I have about that one is I essentially have the equivalent of 9 years of college, and I never pulled an all-nighter. To get that bill done, I had to stay up all night. But it was worth it. That's the kind of investment you want. We need to apply that same methodology to recycling. For several years now, we've known we've needed to do stuff. We're less than half the national rate. I remember when I first talked about it, it was about going from 15 to 30%. To be blunt, 30% is not good enough. We actually should set a much higher goal than that. I got pitched on 42 today already. But that's the kind of attitude that we have. It's not about how to catch up to be behind average. It's how to actually help be in the lead and to move forward. So I want to thank a number of you for being part of the solution already. We have the Governor's Recycling Council. We had the Solid Waste and Sustainability Advisory Group, working with the DEQ. All of you have been contributing to solutions. And in fact, you came out about the same time with 58 recommendations. There's a short list. But they're good recommendations, and they intersect in many ways between those two efforts. I'm not going to go through all 58. I thought I'd highlight a number that I've already been in discussions with committee members, council members, my team, DEQ, about here are some of the things that we should be looking at now in terms of looking at. First of all, one of the easiest things, the smartest things we need to do is we need to do better as the state of Michigan, as a business enterprise ourselves. So we need to look at ways we can look at everything from what we do in our state parks, and it was great to talk to some people that are doing some good things helping us in our state parks today, to what we can do with just how we operate every day. I've got one of those nice recycle things in my office, and I try to make sure I keep it as full as possible in terms of not wasting paper. But we need to educate people as part of that. So the state government is a starting point, but two things that come out of that at the next level. The first thing is we need to do more education of our citizens. And in many respects, people want to do the right thing. They don't actually mind paying more for it if they see value to that. But we need to present the value proposition to them. And we need to make it easy for them to understand where to go. That's something we can all work on. Actually, I've got great people that have been helping me within the DEQ and such. I actually picked on them the other day alone, though, because they came into a meeting and were giving me all these great words and statements and acronyms. And I had to call time out. I'm a nerd. So we need to figure out how to make it an easy understand fashion, both to the value to people as individuals, but how they're helping society. when they do recycling, when they're helping all of us. The other part that I don't think most of our citizens actually realize is they're actually going to help create jobs and opportunities in our state by taking materials that would otherwise be wasted. Those are the kind of things that we need to break down in a simpler, easier fashion and find the best mechanisms to get out to people. Now, one thing that can help that we've been very successful for, that is another action step we should be taking, is it's a combined step between the DEQ and the MEDC. One of the great things we found in the MEDC, this is a program we started back in 2012. It's called Pure Michigan Business Connect. How many people have ever heard of Pure Michigan Business Connect? Oh, a fair number have. That's great. It's a program we actually started with consumers in DTE. And it's a program, people always think it's about government spending money. This was about a good neighbor policy. We don't actually spend much money on it other than running the program, but it's how we help people help themselves. And how do you help by doing better things and more things with your neighbor? And so we created a program starting with the 2 utilities to say, can we ask you to just buy more stuff from other Michiganders? And the utilities were great. They came to us and they had no idea what they were getting into, but they took a leap of faith to do it with us. And they said they would each buy $50 million more over a 5-year period, so each would buy $250 million more of stuff from Michigan. Do you know how well the program worked? Just last year or so, I announced revised goals. Each one of those companies, those 2 major utilities, signed up to buy $1 billion more a year. It was that successful. It's now been extended to the auto industry. We do it with the aerospace industry. We're doing it with other countries now. We do it with agriculture. This is the kind of thing we should be looking at for your industry, about how we can do more by connecting people. And in the case of your situation, it shouldn't just be about private parties getting together. We should be figuring out how to connect communities with providers and putting a whole new context on this. And then figuring out, are there civic groups or other organizations? So that's something that we can just go do. And I'm happy to help push that. So that's another key thing we need to do. The next thing we need to do on the list, and don't worry, I only have a couple more because I'm not doing all 58, is we need to revise our solid waste laws. We have, and you know far more about this than I do, but we basically have a set of laws that says, how do you dig a deeper hole, put more stuff in it, and bury it? That's not very thoughtful. That's about as backward as you get. So we need to look at revising those laws to say, how do we actually say waste is a resource? How do we turn it into something valuable? How do we do the separations? How do we go through that whole process again to say, how do we create that cycle of sustainability and recycling? And we need to revise that context and actually say, how do we plan for that? And how do we make sure we're helping work with our partners, the counties, the communities, our private sector, and making sure we can see that happen on a broad scale. So we need to look at the revisions of our current laws. And then how to help make it all work in terms of resources, helping our partners. We need to work on this planning model, and also where do we get the budgetary resources to support that? And I'm not going to commit to a specific number for you right now, but the report has good recommendations that I think are really solid that we need to advance in terms of saying how do we get more resources, budgetary and otherwise, devoted to supporting this plan. So it's just not about talk, it's about action. So the real reason I want to come today is one, I want to say thank you for what you've been doing. You're helping pioneer something in Michigan, but it's something we need to catch up. But I thought this was the place to start to say, we set some goals, we haven't even done very well by those, but we should be raising our goal. We need to set our sights higher than we did in the past. Let's set them high, let's go after it. By these tangible actions and steps, everything from, like I said, doing better ourselves to doing better education, better good neighbor policy, better planning, and better investment. And we're going to make a better Michigan. So I came here today also to get you fired up. So hopefully, I don't know what your expectations were. I hope I've exceeded them in terms of saying, here's the bar, but instead of just raising the bar, let's set the bar high. And let's stop talking about just talking. Let's figure out how to take it into tangible action. I have about a year and a half, little over a year and a half left. That's still a lot of time. It's amazing when I talk to people and say, well, Governor, you're a lame duck. And it's like, do I look like I'm just wasting away? I think I still got some good fire and energy and passion to go and some runway. So let's make the best of it. And let's make it not just about me being in office for so long. Let's accomplish a lot, and it's setting a foundation that others can grab, and you can keep on going, and I can keep on going without the title, and we can keep building on. Because that's what we should be proud of. In so many areas of Michigan, what we've done are not just deal with short-term issues. We've tried to put a structure in place that's a foundation for long-term success. That's not just about us, but it's for our kids and our kids' kids. That's what we need to be doing here in recycling, in sustainability. So I hope you go out of here today with more excitement and passion than you had when you started today, to recognize we gave out awards to recognize people that are helping lead the charge. We got to talk to one another and find better ways to support one another. And we all decided, let's move that bar up and step on the gas. Thank you so much. Thank you.